Hello everybody and welcome to another Wolcen video for patch 1017.1, and today I don't want to talk about a specific build. I want to talk about the ailments and their mechanics so that you guys can create the build of your dreams. So this video is rather long, so please sit back, relax and enjoy the show. Well, builds around these ailments are very strong, and that's the reason why they are so popular. Even my builds use ailments a lot, and I can only encourage you to use them as well because they are fun and super strong. But there's also lots of confusion around these ailments, what they really are and how they work, blah blah blah. So I really try my best to explain a few things here and there. So let's start with the first question: what are ailments? Plain and simply, ailments are status effects, like if you put something on fire, it burns, and if I farted you, you stink. These are status effects, you know what I'm driving at. So if we check out the details page, we have a whole section which deals with these ailments, and I want to talk about the different ailment types we have currently in the game, okay? So let's do not get bogged down with all the different numbers and things. We just want to know what the ailments are and what they do. Okay, so in total we have 9 ailments, and I divide them in different sections. We have the damaging ailments, they deal damage over time. Then we have like crowd control ailments, which have a crowd control effect, and we have debuff ailments, okay? These are the 3 categories I've, let's say, created for them. And if we have a look at the first one, stun, if you hover the mouse over the ailment name, you have a little pop-up box which tells you what the ailment is doing. And as you can read, the stun ailment type will hinder the target from performing any action for a short period of time. Okay? So if a monster has this ailment effect, for 2 seconds it can't move and cannot do anything. It can't cast a spell, it just is frozen in place. And that's the reason why the freeze ailment does exactly the same. Now you would ask, why do I have 2 ailments which do the same thing? Because these are 2 different sources. You have a freeze chance and you have a stun chance. These are 2 different ways to apply this stun effect. And you can see they have a different duration, 2 seconds and 1.5 seconds. But let's disregard those numbers for the moment. We just have a look at the ailment types. Okay, so stun and freeze we talked about. Now let's have a look at the damaging ailments. And these are poison, bleed, burn and shock. These 4 ailment types deal damage over time, okay? And these are the only ones dealing damage. So we talked about them. Then we have those 3 little brothers here. And these are, let's say, debuff ailments, or I call them debuff ailments, because stasis has a negative effect on the monster. The more stasis stacks the target has, the less quick it can attack or cast spells or even move around the map and follow you, okay? So that's a classical debuff. The weakness ailment is also a debuff because the more you weaken the target, the less damage it deals to you, okay? So you weaken the target literally so that it deals less damage to you. And curse is another debuff. So curse basically means you deal more damage to the target as you would do without the curse effect, okay? We talk about numbers and stuff later on. So now we have learned we have 2 crowd control ailments, we have 4 damaging ailments, and we have these 3 debuff ailments. Okay, let's dive a little bit more into this topic. I want to talk about the ailment stacks for a second, okay? So ailment stacks literally mean you can stack ailments on top of one another. It's comparable to, let's say, a stack of pancakes from IHOP. If you don't know what IHOP means, it's the International House of Pancakes. Very tasty. Okay, so you can stack ailments, but from all these 9 ailments we have, two of them you can't stack, okay? And this is stun and the freeze, because you cannot stack, let's say, 2 freeze or 3 freeze effects on a monster in order to extend the freeze duration. This is not how it works. They rather have the freeze or stun effect or they don't. You can't stack them. But for all the other ailments, like the 4 damaging ones and the debuff ailments, they can be stacked. Which means the more bleed stacks the target has, the more damage it gets from this specific type, or let's say the more weakness stacks the target has, the less damage it deals to you, okay? Now, as a standard with, let's say, not a single point spent into the passive wheel, you can say there's really nothing. Even my attribute points, everything is resetted, I'm barely naked, and I just have some crappy gear on, which do not affect the ailment story as of now. This will come at a later stage, so I'm really naked. And as default, we can have up to 10 ailment stacks. Okay, this is important, we have 10. There are ways to increase this number, but we'll talk about this later. Okay, now why is it beneficial to have more stacks? Let's check out the poison ailment, because this is our damage, one of the damage ailments, and you can see this number 125 and 1253. It's pretty simple. The first number 125 represents, this is the damage the target gets for 1 poison tick with 1 stack only. Okay? Let this sink in for a moment. If you apply poison to a target, the poison will stay on the target for 5 seconds. Okay, this is how long the ailment is applied to the target. Now the poison rate is roughly, let's say, 1 second to make it more easy. This means in this 5-second window, the poison ticks 5 times. So you can deal 5 times 125 damage if you apply 1 stack of poison. If you can apply all 10 stacks of poison, okay, you just add basically more or less a 0, because it's 10 times the first number. In this case, it's 1253. I do not know why the 3 is coming there, but let's forget the 3. So it's 10 times this number, which means if you apply poison, which lasts for 5 seconds, it ticks 5 times, and it has 10 stacks, you deal 1253 poison damage to the target. Another vital question is, how do you apply an ailment stack onto a target? And this is done by a hit. And you can hit a target in 2 different ways. We have a melee hit, which is an attack or considered an attack. You use a melee weapon for that and it consumes rage. While the other form of a hit is a hit via a spell. You need a staff or a catalyst for it and they consume willpower. Okay, so that's a hit. If you hit a monster, you have a chance that you apply an ailment stack. It's not applied by 100%, you have a chance. And your base chance is coming from your wisdom, okay? So let's put it into another way. Every single ailment has this chance score. Every single ailment, no matter which type, okay? And the higher the chance score, the higher the percentage is in order to apply the ailment onto a target or not. Okay, you hit a target with a spell, with a melee attack, whatsoever, and you have 15.2% chance to apply the stun ailment. And I have 15.2% here, but only, let's say, 11.1% here. And this is because of some items I have put on, I don't know, but your base chance comes from the wisdom, okay? So if you pump some points into wisdom, in this case all of them, you can see I have now almost 30% chance. That's pretty cool, isn't it? Yeah. maybe it isn't. Then you would say, okay, I'll pump everything into wisdom and then off I go. I can apply ailments like a boss. Yes, you could, but please bear with me. There are some passive nodes which will give you a better chance to apply ailments. I would not go and spend points into wisdom. We need that points for either toughness or ferocity, okay? But as a note for yourself, the base chance score comes from wisdom. Okay, we have learned that if we hit the monster, we have a chance to apply 1 ailment stack. Only 1. Not 5, not all 10, 1. So if we want to apply 10 stacks, we need to hit the monster or the target at least 10 times or more, depending on your chance score, okay? But there are other modifiers which determines how strong the ailment effect is on a target. If we take, for instance, all the damaging ailment effects like poison, bleed, burn, and shock, the higher the damage number is here, the more damage we deal. That's pretty obvious. And we can even extend the duration of the ailment effect. So the ailment effect stays longer onto a target. And this deals, of course, more damage. Same is true for the weakening, the debuff ailment effects. So we have this efficiency. The more stacks we apply to the monster, or the higher the base efficiency is, the less damage the target deals to you. And for curse, it's the same. The higher the efficiency, the more damage you deal to the target. Okay? I need a beer. Sorry. Now here's the thing though. One of the reasons why ailments are so strong is because ailments are like apes. Apes together strong. No, seriously, you can apply all of the ailments onto a single set target. All of them. That's pretty cool. I mean, if you're so strong and you just cast a fireball onto some minions and they die a shitty death and they're just gone, then ailments do nothing. But as the difficulty increases and the mobs tend to have a bigger health bar, then things can get more tricky, and this is when ailments really shine, because then they can deal tons of damage or debuff them in a way so that you have a chance to kill them. Now let's do some practical things, okay? Because this was a lot of theory. Now let's see some things in action. These are monsters and they will probably kill me because I'm not really prepared. But now I cast Fireball onto their faces and you can see they die. And what you cannot see are the ailment stacks, because there is no way, at least I do not know of, that we can see the ailment or the number of ailment stacks on a target. I simply can't. They either die, there is no debuff information, there's nothing. I just see damage numbers, that's it. No ailment stacks whatsoever. Which is pretty sad, because this would be very, very interesting to know. But the ailment stacks are there, trust me, they are. Okay. So you need to die because you are annoying. I don't have any... come on. Good. Now let's have a look at this active skill consuming embers, okay? You can see the average damage is 3,300 damage. We have, of course, a critical chance, blah, blah, blah. You know the name of the game. But now you can see ailment burn stacks 1. We have 11% chance to apply this ailment or 1 stack of ailment. And it lasts for 3 seconds. So these are the things we talked about, okay? Now here's the thing. There are some passive nodes which really significantly boost the power of the ailments. And this is, for instance, or this is the Cabalist section. It's really about ailments. And then I think the Time Weaver, they also have some nodes. For instance, this one, +5 maximum ailment stacks. Okay, and there's another +5. So this means if we go back to our details page, we can increase the maximum stacks we apply to a target. Okay, base is 10 and we can push it up to 30 stacks. Okay, that's pretty cool. But if we have a low chance, then it doesn't make sense to be able to apply 1 million stacks if we just don't apply them because our chance is so fucked up. Good. Let's stay with the Cabalist for a second and check what the Cabalist is offering. Now I need just to use this path in order to reach the Cabalist. Okay, so we have spell cost decrease and spell damage. That's nonsense. This has nothing to do with the ailments for now. Look, this is the first interesting thing. Ailment stack duration. Okay, I don't skill it now. Let's have a look. Now let's check out the details page. So we have stun duration for 2 seconds, poison duration 5 seconds, but let's stick with the burn because we have this consuming ember here. We have 3 seconds of ailment effect if the ailment is applied. Now, I will skill this one, plus 50% ailment stack duration. Boom! And now let's check it out. Now look at this, 3 seconds. It was 2 before. Now look at this, 7.5 seconds. And here burn, 4.5 seconds, and it was 3 before. So with this little passive node, we extended all the durations for all the ailments. Not for a single one, for all of them. This is pretty darn useful. Okay? But there's more. Oh my god, there's lots more. Let's check it out. What does this do? Spell damage, and then we have Immortal Offering. I will skip Immortal Offering for now because this is very special. Okay? So let's check out something else. What is this here? Resistance score, yada yada yada. This one is interesting. Have a look at that. It says 50% chance to multiply the number of ailment stacks inflicted by 2. This means you have a slight chance that if you hit the target, you apply 2 ailment stacks at once instead of the 1. Okay? So this is pretty cool. You can use that. And there are even other nodes. We have, again, let's say 25 and 25, which is 50, plus this 50. So with all 3 nodes activated, we have a 100% chance that we inflict 2 stacks instead of 1. So what this means now, since we can only apply 10 stacks in total as of now, we only need to hit the target, let's say by half. That sounds stupid. We put it into another way. We still have our chance score. We still need to roll the dice and see if we have 15% chance to apply the effect, yes or no. But if we do apply the effect, it's 2 stacks instead of 1. 2. Okay? That's pretty cool. Now, what else does the Cabalist give us? See, that's another cool thing. 12% ailment chance score for all of the ailments and 75% ailment stack duration. Okay, let's make a quick comparison. We stick with our burn. We have 4.5 seconds duration, okay, and the chance is 11.1. Now we skill this little bad boy here and check it out. 6.8, and the cool thing is it bumped up from 11.1 to 12.3. Yes, and all of them are bumped up. Okay, that's pretty substantial. Okay, as you can see, ailment burn stacks now are 2 instead of 1 because we have this 100% chance that we deal 2 stacks at once. And this is just the stuff we have seen. Okay, so we can see where this is going. We really can push our ailments here. But that's not it, brothers. No, 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 no. There is tons of more cool stuff. Check it out. I know it's a long video, but please bear with me. It's really worth it. What I've done, I've skilled this little node here. So I increased my chance score by 18%, which is cool. But if we have a look at the Scholar, Here we can skill 25% chance score for the elemental stuff. Again, 25 for occult and 25 for material. So if we use all three of them, we would increase 25% for all the ailment types. But that's not the kicker. The kicker is this one, which is 60% for all of them. Full stop. That's pretty cool, huh? Okay. And what you can see here, I have 2 times +5 maximum ailment stacks, which means I have now a total of 20. Pretty cool. In order to get the maximum, which is 30, I need to go to the Time Weaver because I have a little note here and a little note here. I mean, yes, you need to spend a lot of points in terms to boost the ailments, but there are some passives you can leave out, which are just small gains, but there are some passives which absolutely boost the ailments and the damage is going through the roof. Okay, so we'll check it out now. Please bear with me. Okay, now here is one interesting thing, and it is, for instance, this one. This one says we gained +2 ailment stacks, but we sacrifice 30% damage, which is not damage over time. Remember, ailment damaging, the damaging ailments are all damage over time, so they are not affected by this node. But I can tell you what is affected. It's all the other stuff. Like this one. Damage 3390 will be reduced. Same is true for a melee thing. The average damage 1, 2, 3, and 6 will be reduced. Okay? But let's do that. Let's just skill this bad boy here, confirm it, check it out. You can see it dropped to 3-1 something. And check this. It was 1-2-3-6. Now it's 1-1-5-2. You think it's bad? It's not, because look at this. Ailment stacks 6. Wow. Check it out here. Ailment stacks 6. So with one hit, we have a chance to apply 6 at once. So if we are lucky and we have, let's say, 10 as a max, with only 2 hits, boom, maximum stacks applied. Huh? And we only sacrificed, let's say, 200 damage. But that's nothing. That's really nothing. Because keep in mind, if we have, let's say, 20 ailment stacks on a target, we deal 2,500 damage, poison, bleed, or burn, whatsoever. In addition to this damage here. So what we do, we go to a monster, cast this spell, or let's say use this skill, we deal 1,152 damage directly, like instant damage. But we can apply 6 stacks of bleeding, which then translates into, let's say, 6 times 125 damage. Okay? In this period of time, or in this time window, 5.6 seconds. That's absolutely fantastic. Now, what we basically is with this node, it's a trade-off between sacrificing 30% of instant damage in favor of +2 ailment stacks per hit. Now you wonder, why the hell do we inflict 6 ailment stacks? 6, yeah, if we are lucky. And here it says +2. It's easy, it's really easy. 1 is base, +2 with this node, gets multiplied by 2 because of these 3 little fellas, okay? It says multiply the number of ailment stacks by 2. So this means if we have a base in ailment infliction of 5 stacks with this node, it's 10. Boom. See, so that's the synergy. It's pretty cool. Okay, let's talk about another interesting node. It's this one. Although I think it's a bit tricky because you really cannot see any numbers whatsoever. Because what it says is if you inflict ailment stacks with a critical hit, meaning you cast Consuming Embers onto a head of a monster and it crits, then you have applied critical stacks of burn, okay? Now, if we check our details page, it says 1 stack of burn inflicts 125 damage. So how much is the crit of that? Nobody knows. I can't tell. I can't even tell if this node works because there's no way of measuring. There is no puppet where I can see some damage numbers. There's just no way in the game in order to see this effect. So I don't know. Yeah, I mean, you can skill it. You don't have to. I don't know. It's really a thing we cannot see at all. Let's continue with the Cabalist tree. Okay, so an interesting thing is this one. That's also a trade-off between sacrificing instant damage from an active skill by raising the ailment damage. Okay, what this means is, let's take a look at the Consuming Ember. We have an average damage of 3,143. Okay, that's a number, 3143. Keep this in mind. Now, the ailment damage, let's use the burn one, is 125 per stack, and 2,500 if we apply all 20 stacks. That's why it's not multiplied by 10, it's multiplied by 20. Okay, now let's use this node, only one of them, boom. So we'll sacrifice some damage coming from the active skill. It's only 3020, and it was 3143 or something. So we lost again a little bit of flat damage, but it's not much. But what we gain is, look at that, 141 to 28. You see where this is going. So what we can do, we can sacrifice a little bit of direct damage, instant damage, but we gain more on the long run. So again, if you hit a monster and the monster dies instantly, okay, this is where the instant damage is coming into place. Look, they just die because they are level, I don't know what's 43 and I'm level 85. So there is no much of, let's say, ailment benefit we have right now. Oh, I don't want to die. But bear with me, it still is worth it because of another passive node we'll talk about in a second. So we lost a little bit of direct damage in favor of having more damage over time. Good. Let's check it out. There's more. We can skill another plus 12 ailment damage. And this is the same node, this one here, as this one. It's not as, let's say, strong as this one because we only gain 30% ailment damage. But on the other hand, we only sacrifice 10% and not 15 like here. But you know what? Let's do this. Let's take this one and let's confirm it. And if we check here, it dropped again. It's now 2.9. So we lost again more direct damage, but we gained a lot more of the damage over time. Okay, let's continue. What is this one? Grievous afflictions. Okay, I know it's stupid, but let's dismiss this for a second, okay? I want to talk about this last node, which gives us more ailment damage, and we sacrifice even more flat damage, okay? If we have a look here, it now dropped to 2.8. Remember at the beginning we had 3.3 or something, so we sacrificed more than 500 direct damage in favor of inflicting a ton of more ailment stacks and now a ton of more damage over time. And remember, this affects all the ailments, not only burn. I only use burn because I have this skill here, but it affects all of the ailments. And remember, we can inflict all 9 ailments on one target, okay? So now maybe you slowly get the gist why ailments can be so strong later in the game. Now it's time to talk about the real good stuff, okay? If you made it to this section of the video, congratulations. Either you used the chapter function or you really watched a whole lot. So congrats. Now, I want to talk about the Immortal offering, and that's absolutely, I say, a must-have when you are at the Cabalist tree, okay? So let's use the spell damage, which is yada yada yada. And now we are close to getting this node. Before I skill the node, I want to show you something, or show something to you. I mean, this is grammatically more correct, I think. We are now bumped up the damage again to 3052 because of these two nodes, because we increased the spell damage, and since this is a spell, it says spell, we are now back to 3052, okay? So that's the explanation here. But what I want to show you, this is our basis, our base damage for this skill as of now. It's 3052. We sacrificed a lot of flat damage in favor of more stacks and more damage over time. But here is the thing. Immortal offering, I will skill that, says we get 5% damage, not ailment damage, not ailment damage. We get 5% more damage, instant damage, per stack of Immortal offering. Okay, I will demonstrate it now to you. I've skilled this node, I confirm it. And what I do now, I will show to you, we still have 3052, or I can just hover here, 3052, okay. And now let's find some really sad monsters who will extinguish their lives. Oh, please not the big one. Oh yeah, these ones, okay. I kill these monsters, and now I have 5 stacks of Immortal offering. That's the passive node we skilled. We have 5 stacks. And now look, the damage is 3816. 3816, and it was 30. Oh, die. Okay, look, 3816. Wow, we boosted our flat damage because we have these 5 stacks of Immortal offering. Now, as soon as they wear off, because they will not stay forever, we are back to our base damage, which is 3052. Now, Immortal offering is gone, and we are back to 3052. Okay, so let's talk about this Immortal offering. So what it does, per stack, we get 5% more damage per stack. So if I have 1 stack of Immortal offering, I deal 5% more, but I had 5 stacks of Immortal offering, which is 25% damage, direct damage, okay? That's absolutely cool. Let's try this for Bleeding Edge. We deal average damage 1055, okay? Now I need rage. Do I? Yes, I need rage. That's stupid. Now I have rage. Now I need monsters. Come on. Oh, not the big one. Oh, I'm not ready for you. Come on. Oh, I have 5. Okay. Now I have 5 stacks of Immortal offering and 5 stacks of. Okay. Let's try again. 5 stacks of Fire Immortal offering and 5 stacks of Rend Immortal offering. Now check the damage. 4-5. And this one has 1-5. So what we have now, 2 different stacks of Immortal offering. One is Fire, one was Rend from the Bleeding Edge. And we boosted the damage by 2 times 25%. Which is 50% flat damage increased. I have been defeated. Very sad. But who cares? Hey, you're still here. That's good, because now we talk about the really cool stuff. Okay? What we have seen before is that if we kill a monster which is affected by burn, by the burn ailment, we get stacks of Immortal offering. Okay? So with 5 stacks of burn Immortal offering, we can have 25% more damage for all of the spells. Okay? Now here's the thing though. We only applied one single type of ailment to get 5 stacks of Immortal Offering for burn. And we saw we had 5 stacks for rend because I also used Bleeding Edge, which was then 50% damage increase. But, here's the but, we can apply all of the ailments, like 9 of them, not only 1 or 2 or 3, 9 of them, okay? Let's do the following. We have our Consuming Ember, which inflicts burn. And what we could do, we could add Dust Shroud. So we have Curse. And then, for instance, we could use, yes, Plague Burst. That's poison. Okay. Then we could also add the Anomaly, which is Stasis. You can see. And because it's a classic, I want to add my favorite Bleeding Edge. I like this skill, which is Bleed. So we have Fire, Curse, Toxic or Poison, Stasis, and Bleed. So we could apply 5 different ailment types, which would translate in terms of Immortal Offering, 5 stacks, 5 different stacks of Immortal Offering, which is 125% damage increase if one single target has 5 different ailment types, 5 stacks Immortal Offering. Okay? And this is easy to achieve. And this 125% damage applies to all of the active skills, not only to one, to all of them. That's massive. That's really massive. So now the question is, if we can theoretically apply all 9 ailments onto a target, but we have only 5 spells, then we can apply a little bit more than half of it, of the capability. What is with the other half? How do we apply 8? Okay, that's a good question. Now, in order to tell you how this works, what I will do, I will erase all of the other spells because I only want to go with this Consuming Embers. Okay, now let's bear with me because this is important. Consuming Ember only can apply burn. Okay, that's the only thing it can do. Unless we use this little button here and we convert the fire damage into lightning damage, then it applies shock. So it's either shock or burn. Shock or burn, shock or burn. There is no way to have them both active. Or is there a way? There is. And the node which is responsible for that is Grievous Afflictions, where I've said before we skip that. Now it's time to talk about it. Okay, what Grievous Afflictions does is that we can apply an additional ailment from one source. Okay, I will skill quickly and then you will see what I mean. I will need my Immortal Offering and I need this one. Okay, we have Grievous Afflictions and I use the rest we used before to have more ailment stacks and more chance. Okay, we have Grievous Afflictions now. And now look, we still have burn. Nothing else because that's what this skill is equipped with as a default. Let's talk about the items. If I have this amulet, for instance, and it says ether damage added to spells, and shadow damage added to spells. Now I equip this little thing here, and if I check my Consuming Ember now, we can inflict burn and curse. Cool. So we can inflict both with one single active skill. Now you will ask, okay, but it says ether and shadow. Then why is it that we only have, what is responsible for determining what of those spells will be picked as an additional ailment? It is simply the amount of damage. Okay, let's check it out. We have 13 to 31 ether damage, but we have 14 to 21 shadow damage. So that's why Shadow wins over the ether damage, and that's why we have Curse. To let you know, Shadow damage is cursing. Okay, you can see this little thing here. Boom, it's the same thing. So Curse is Shadow damage. Let's see if I have another thing to make this more clear. Get rid of this. We have toxic damage added to attacks. Ah yes, and shadow damage added to spells. So if we check our consuming ember, we still have curse because it says there is shadow damage added to spells. But here we have toxic damage added to attacks. If we now take our bleeding edge, we have poison ailment. You can see, because of this little thing here, we have toxic damage added to attacks, so for the bleeding edge, and we have shadow damage added to spells. So these are two separate things. So now I am able inflicting 4 different ailment types with only 2 active skills. That's pretty darn cool. So if I now take, for instance, another spell, let's say the Plague Burst. It's here. It inflicts poison, but also curse coming from this item. So you kind of see that your item choice does affect the number of different ailment types you can apply. So if you choose your items wisely, you can inflict tons of stuff. But please bear in mind, the highest damage number will determine which kind of ailment is inflicted. Let's check out the rings. This ring does frost damage added to attacks, okay? 12 to 17. And this one does toxic damage added to attacks, 25 by 29. So as we can see, it's poison and bleed. This little frost damage here is absolutely not taken into consideration because the damage is just way too low. What else do we have? Fire damage added to attacks, 12 to 18. Still, it's poison. Now here's the $1 million question. If I remove this one, we have 12 to 18 fire damage added to attacks and 12 to 17 frost damage to attacks. Which of those different ailment types will be now on a bleeding edge? It's fire. See? Burn and bleed. Because this damage modifier 12 to 18 is higher than 12 to 17. So you have to be careful. If you have too many accessories which have plus damage added to something, maybe your spell is not inflicting the ailment type you want it to inflict because a damage type is just too high. So you have to be careful which items to choose in order to inflict the correct ailment type. Okay? So if you select your gear wisely, you're able to inflict, let's say, 10 different ailment types. We have only 9, but you have 5 skills. And each skill can inflict 2 different types, which would be, in theory, 10 different ailment types. Since we have only 9, 9 is the maximum. But you know where I'm driving at. So if you pay close attention to your equipment, you can really manage to deal all 9 ailment types onto a single target. Hang on there, we are nearly there. We almost did it. So what I did, I put on some equipment which adds various damage types to attacks and spells, yada yada yada, and I also messed around with the active skills. So this one I converted to shock, and this one I converted to fire in order to deal as many different ailment types I possibly can, which translates into 2 different ailment types here because I have poison and bleed. Another 2 here because there is weakness and curse, makes 4 in total. Then we have stasis and curse, so stasis is the new element, which makes 5. This one makes 6 because burn is another element. then we have freeze in addition, and we have shock, which sums up to 8 different ailment types. The only one I'm missing out is stun, okay? So I can only deal 8 different ailment types. Now what I do, I'm trying to kill some mobs to get the stacks of Immortal Offering, okay? So just for a quick check, this spell does 11,000 average damage. 11,000, okay? So now we try to kill some mobs using various skills. I just mashed some buttons and you can see we have lots of stacks and boom, 23,000. 23. We are coming from 11, okay? That's more than double. Absolutely amazing. And this is true for everything. Look, this has now 46,000 damage. 46. If I use the tooltip again, because all my stacks are gone, boop, we are back to 23. So we double the amount of damage for all of the active skills if just mobs die affected by a specific ailment type or by ailments in general. Okay, so you can see how strong they are and why they are so popular. Okay, so basically this is what I wanted to tell you. I know it was very long, but it's really worth it. So if you mess around with your equipment and with the skills and you really want to use the ailments and you can manage to apply 8 or 9, you deal absolutely tons of damage, okay? So this is the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it, even though it was very long, but I really tried my best to explain the ailment mechanic to you guys so that you're able to fiddle around with it and make your own cool builds around ailments. If you're under the impression that I talked nonsense or you're not happy with the things I've said because they are not accurate enough, then please let me know in the comments. This is an open discussion, and the more information I get from you guys, the better videos I can produce in the future, or we as a community benefit from your input, okay? So thank you, good night, and maybe I will create another video talking about defense mechanics or anything else, okay? Have a good one.